Sports Talk 1080, the team Orlando's Tuck and O'Neill. It's Mike Tuck. I'm Jerry O'Neill. Sprouting the colors today, black and gold. UCF has announced that Scott Frost, who's been the offensive coordinator out at Oregon, quarterback coach as well, and tutored Marcus Mariota, maybe you've heard of him, will be introduced, but is officially announced as the new football coach at UCF. I think that's kind of exciting.
In the words of Peyton Manning, I like it. I'm down with it. He's obviously a guy that's been a player in the NFL and in college football. He's been a winner in college football as a player and as a coach so far, and I think that he's going to bring with him a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. There's obviously a lot of questions. We've never seen him as a head coach, but that's the case whenever you hire a coordinator. So we'll see exactly what he does as far as putting a staff together. But I think there's got to be, excitement and optimism. I don't know how they wanted to been, but I think in this case it's a name that, especially if you're probably, mid-20s or later, you remember him as a player, so at least it's a name that you recognize.
He played as a quarterback at both Stanford, then transferred, even though he'd been the starter at Stanford, transferred to Nebraska. I saw him when UCF played what would be the unbeaten and national championship team in 1997 when Dante Culpepper and UCF had a halftime lead at Nebraska. And UCF would be applauded as the Nebraska fan base stood up as one because of the effort UCF gave that day. That team, that was the second game of the season for Nebraska, would go unbeaten and win a national championship. And then in the NFL, he was not a quarterback. He played as a safety. He was a third-round pick of the Jets. Played for a number of teams over the handful of years, including the Buccaneers, I think his last year. But for the last 7 years, he's been with Chip Kelly at Oregon. And then when Kelly moved to Philadelphia, Mark Helfrich, who was the offensive coordinator, was named as the head coach. Scott Frost stayed on as the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. He's also been under the tutelage, either as a player or a coach, of Bill Belichick, of also, who's the former Giants head football coach who won a Super Bowl? Yes,
former
that
Giants
guy.
Coach, Bill Parcells.
Yeah, Bill Parcells. And, there are others along in his path.
Tom Osborne.
Who obviously, Bill Walsh even, to go back to the Stanford days, who've had influence on his growth. But Mark,
I think the biggest thing is he's the coach's son. I mean, above any of that, he grew up around a coach. His dad was a coach.
But he's been a part of the staff.
That's more influential than anything as far as guiding your path in life.
Maybe. But, he's been a part of a staff of one of the most obvious offensive-minded in America with Chip Kelly, with Mark Helfrich, and with Oregon, and has tutored in Marcus Mariota, a quarterback, and who won a Heisman. So I don't think there's much doubt. There's a great deal of excitement about that hire. Yes, you have to put a staff together, and then you have to incorporate around the talent that you have, at least at the outset, the style of football that you want to play. But I think it's going to be exciting for recruits, I really do, to realize that you've got an Oregon guy who is coming to Florida with what he has on his resume is an up-tempo offense. Right?
Bingo.
All right, we'll leave it at that. He'll be introduced Wednesday. We'll talk with him on the radio. We do the show weekdays 3 to 7. Sports Talk 1080, the team Orlando.